This morning is not a reset for performance. It's a reminder of divine presence. You woke up again to that ache, that prayer still unanswered, that inner voice whispering, "Why am I still here?" You feel stuck, not because you haven't tried, but because nothing seems to be moving, spiritually, emotionally, even practically. You've prayed, you've believed, you've obeyed, and still, silence. Your soul wonders, is God even listening? Let this moment interrupt that spiral. You are not forgotten, you are not off track. You are being held by the hand that still moves, even when you don't feel it. Psalm 91 says, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." The silence isn't punishment, it's protection, it's preparation, it's sacred alignment in disguise. Sometimes God's loudest love shows up in His quietest moments. The God who hides you is the same God who heals you. You are not in pause because you've failed. You are in waiting because God is aligning. This isn't a rebuke. It's a reminder. Pope Leo XXVIII once wrote, "The soul moves forward most powerfully when it learns to bow deeply in trust." You are not still because you've failed. You are still because heaven is working behind the curtain. What looks like delay may actually be design. What feels like stillness may be God's fierce love holding you from a step not yet ready. Trust does not mean you always understand. It means you choose to stay, even when your heart wants to run. It means you place your questions in holy hands. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and He will make your paths straight." Not fast, not loud, but straight, even in silence. Even when your legs want to sprint, but your spirit says wait. His love is not proven by activity, it is proven by presence. God's message today is steady and simple. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not punishing you. I'm building something in the silence that can only rise in stillness. You don't need to move to be moved. You don't need to do more to be loved more. You are not behind, you are being held. You are not delayed, you are being protected. So inhale the truth. You are not stuck, you are sheltered. Exhale the lie. That silence means you're forgotten. Today is not empty. This moment is not wasted. This prayer is not passive. It's powerful. You are being aligned, not ignored, covered, not cursed, chosen, not cast off. Stillness doesn't mean stagnation. It means surrender. And in surrender, heaven breathes. Isaiah 43:19 echoes, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. I am making a way in the wilderness." Sometimes the most powerful movements of God are underground, quiet, rooted, hidden until the time is right. You are already being moved. You're not asked to figure it all out, just to show up, just to dwell. Psalm 91 doesn't command movement, it invites dwelling. Stay in the stillness, stay in the shelter, and watch how heaven writes what you cannot yet see. Where in my life am I mistaking divine stillness for abandonment? How can I surrender striving and choose to dwell instead of chase? What might God be preparing in the silence that I can't yet perceive? I dwell under the shadow of the Almighty. God is making a way for me in this wilderness. My trust will guide me when understanding cannot. If this prayer settled something in you, breathe deeply and linger here. Drop one word in the comments that reflects your season and let this sacred space hold you. Share this video with someone who feels spiritually stuck. God's silence is not His absence. Stay, dwell. You are already being moved. There's a quiet ache in spiritual stagnation, a tension that doesn't cry out but slowly depletes your hope. You open your Bible, you whisper prayers, but there's no shift, no spark, no sign. Not rebellion, not sin, just stillness, a kind you didn't choose, a pause you didn't plan. And yet this is the place God often meets His people. Before Moses parted the Red Sea, he stood still. Before Jesus began his ministry, he withdrew into the wilderness. Before David ruled, he waited in caves, crying, "How long, O Lord?" So if you woke up feeling stuck today, not sinful, just spiritually tired, don't condemn yourself. This could be sacred ground, the exact place where breakthrough begins. Psalm 23 doesn't say he pushes us, it says, "He leads me in paths of righteousness." Leading means pacing, and sometimes that pace feels like a stall, but it's not. It's God bringing your soul back into sync with Him. Meditation isn't meant to speed things up. It's meant to slow your soul into rhythm with the shepherd. God's message today is not hurry up. It's hold on. You are not being ignored. You are being formed. Pope Leo the Catholic once wrote, "Waiting with worship is the most honest kind of faith, because in the silence, when you have no visible answers, you choose to believe that God is who He says He is. That trust becomes the seedbed of supernatural change. Spiritual stagnation is often a disguise. Beneath the stillness, divine roots are growing. A tree cannot force fruit before its season. Winter does not mean death, it means preparation." Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that emotional silence often precedes spiritual clarity. When the heart gets quiet, the spirit gets loud. Maybe that's what's happening in you. You're not stuck, you're stationed, you're not behind. You're being positioned. God isn't late. He's layering strength in you. Layers that don't come in motion but in meditation. You are being shaped for something deeper than momentum. You're being readied for movement with purpose. And sometimes the most powerful moves of heaven are the ones happening underground. Psalm 91 promises, "He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge." That's not poetic fluff, it's a promise. You are covered, even in delay. You are held, even in confusion. You are being reshaped from within, even as your outer world stands still. What if this isn't a detour? What if this is direction? God's message today is steady and holy. Don't confuse stillness with stagnation. I'm doing more in the quiet than you know. That breathless ache you feel is not the end. It's the soil of breakthrough. Stay in the process. Wait in worship. Stand in the shelter. The tide is rising. Quiet now. Soon unstoppable. This is not wasted time. It's divine timing. This is where it begins. What if this stuck season is really a sacred pause designed to protect and prepare me? How might I listen more deeply in the stillness rather than rushing to fix or change it? What kind of inner transformation could God be doing while I wait for outward change? I am not behind, I am being guided. God is whispering in my stillness. My waiting is not in vain, it is worship. Write the word "still" in the comments if you're trusting God even when nothing seems to move, and share this with someone else who's been quietly battling discouragement. Your patience is not punishment, it's preparation. Let God remind you today, breakthrough begins right here. There is more unfolding than you can perceive. When it feels like your prayers bounce off the ceiling and shatter into silence, remember this sacred truth. God often does His deepest work beneath the surface. We long for visible answers, burning bushes, parted seas, opened tombs. But divine power does not always arrive with spectacle. Sometimes it flows like a river beneath frozen ground. Psalm 91 promises deliverance from snares and pestilence. Yet it never outlines the method. Because God's ways are layered with mystery, He moves through reroutes, delays, and divine detours, bypassing logic to build legacy. That's why Proverbs 3 gently warns us not to lean on our understanding. Heaven's roadmaps don't follow human lines. If your path feels uncertain today, it might be because God is leading you where GPS cannot guide, through wildernesses that birth wonders. If you feel stuck today, it may be because God is rerouting you to a breakthrough you couldn't reach by force. You don't see it yet, but heaven is already clearing the way. You've probably whispered this ache. Why am I still waiting, still stuck, still praying without seeing change? And heaven replies, because I'm still working, just not where you're looking. T.D. Jakes said it beautifully. Silence isn't absence, it's often God's strategy. Just like seeds grow buried, so do miracles. You are not paused, you are planted. Meditation, this sacred slowing of your spirit, is not inactivity, it is sensitivity. In this quiet, God is fine-tuning your spiritual senses so you can hear before you see. When the moment of movement comes, you'll recognize it as His. He's teaching you to hear in the spirit before you see in the natural. This is the sacred skill of trust. You are becoming someone who no longer needs signs to trust, just presence. This is formation. This is the road to spiritual authority. You are not only being delivered, you are being developed. Breakthroughs are birthed in hidden obedience. Your stillness is not a timeout, it's a tuning in. Stillness is not evidence of failure. It is the first whisper of awakening. You may feel stuck in your job, your family, your emotions, or even your faith. But God says, I am making a way in the wilderness. Streams are already flowing. You'll see them when you stop running and start receiving. That's the tension of faith. You thirst, but you don't chase. You wait and you worship. This is not passive, it is prophetic. Trusting that what feels barren is actually pregnant with purpose. You may be one prayer away from an open door, but more than that, you are one surrender away from seeing the door that's already ajar. Psalm 23:3 says, He guides me along the right paths for His name's sake. That means your breakthrough is not just for you, it's about His glory, His story, His perfect timing. So today, let your breath anchor your belief. Let the stillness become a sanctuary. Let this unseen path become holy ground. What if God is building something behind the scenes that I'm not yet ready to carry? In what ways can I stop pushing and start perceiving what God is doing in my life? What are the unseen signs that divine power might already be at work in me? God is forging paths I cannot yet see. I trust the unseen work of His hands. My stillness allows space for divine alignment. If you needed this reminder, type unseen but active in the comments to declare your faith in God's hidden word. Then send this prayer to someone who feels overlooked or forgotten. They need to know He's still moving, just not always where we expect. You've done all the right things. You've fasted. You've prayed. You've obeyed with trembling hope, and still, nothing shifts. No doors swing open, no answers arrive, no breakthrough breaks through. It feels like divine unfairness. The world moves on while you're suspended in a holy pause, somewhere between yesterday's obedience and tomorrow's unknown promise. But here is the sacred invitation. Peace is not found in progress, it is discovered in surrender. You don't have to keep striving to prove God is near. Psalm 23 doesn't say, He pushes me to perform. It says He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. That means peace may not come from productivity. It may come from stillness, from staying, from learning to breathe without demanding outcomes, from letting go of the idea that forward motion equals divine favor. The peace you're aching for is not on the other side of progress. It is in the surrender of needing progress to prove God's presence. God's message for you today is clear. Release the pressure to move. Let me move in you. The power you're longing for may not be found in external success, but in internal security. Lisa Bevere teaches that spiritual maturity is learning to trust what God is doing in you more than what He's doing around you. That trust is birthed in the still seasons, the quiet ones, where performance dies and presence is enough. Maybe that's what God is doing now. He's detangling your identity from your productivity. He's unraveling the lies that tell you you're only as valuable as your latest yes, your latest outcome, your latest visible breakthrough. This pause isn't punishment, it's preparation, a holy invitation to say, God, even if nothing changes around me, change me. Meditation is not spiritual laziness, it's spiritual readiness. A soul stretched out in silence to say, God, I want you more than the outcome. That shift doesn't happen in busy seasons. It happens in still ones. When we are forced to sit with ourselves and see where our worth has been tangled up in output, recognition, movement. Christian meditation is not about disengagement, it's about deeper engagement with truth. It's not about escaping reality, it's about resting in what's more real than results. God's nearness. Psalm 91 calls us not to leap, but to abide, to stay under the shadow of the Almighty, to trust that rest can be holy, that stillness can be strong, that peace doesn't come from clarity, it comes from closeness. Can you linger here today? Not because it's easy, but because it's sacred. Can you stop measuring success by movement and begin measuring presence instead? The peace you're seeking isn't at the top of the mountain, it's in the middle of surrender. That's where awakening begins. Not when the world finally claps, but when your soul finally exhales. You're not falling behind, you're falling into grace. Stay here, that's where He is. In what ways have I attached my peace to progress or visible success? How is God inviting me to discover peace not after breakthrough, but before it? What false beliefs about movement and worth might He be gently unraveling in me? God restores my soul through still waters. My peace is not earned, it's received. I can rest because God is at work. If your heart is ready to trade pressure for peace, comment, I release it below. Then pause, just for a moment, and breathe. Let God fill the space where your striving used to live. You are not behind, you are becoming, and peace is already near. Before we journey any further into the unfolding of your personal breakthrough, let us pause, not for ourselves, but for those who have no voice left to cry out. This morning, under quiet skies and scripture-filled stillness, we remember that not everyone wakes to peace. Around the world, in corners we may never see, hearts are breaking beneath unspeakable weight. Children who've never known safety, mothers holding only memory, fathers silenced by grief, families torn by forces they never invited. And in the spirit of Psalm 91, which names God as our refuge and fortress, we stop to pray, not as politicians, but as people of mercy, because the God who meets you in your stillness also rushes into the chaos of those forgotten by the world. This is not a political moment, this is a pastoral one. The God who sees you in silence also sees the broken in the storm. And where fear reigns and destruction blinds the light, He is still the refuge. Lord God Almighty, we lift to you the innocent, the unheard, the unnamed, the unseen, who suffer in silence today. In every place where bombs fall, where fear spreads, where shadows linger, shine your mercy. Be the shelter for those who have no home. Be the strength for those without help. Bind the brokenhearted. Comfort those who mourn. Let your peace, which surpasses understanding, flow into torn places. Restore dignity where shame has marked faces. Heal memories where trauma has left scars. Where children cry in the night, bring rest. Where mothers grieve, wrap them in your nearness. You are not the God of sides. You are the God of healing. May your spirit flow like water across scorched souls. We cling to the promise of Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. Be with them now, Lord, especially now. Enter the places where suffering hides and hope feels gone. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, as we return to this space of morning prayer for the weary and waiting, may the spirit of intercession remain within you. Sometimes, spiritual awakening begins not when the ache leaves, but when compassion arrives. Not when your burden is lifted, but when you willingly carry another's in prayer. Maybe your stillness has made space to feel again, to care again. Maybe this silence isn't just for personal healing, but for global compassion. Isaiah 43 says, I am doing a new thing, do you not perceive it? Maybe the new thing is this: your heart, once numb, is opening, once guarded, now tender. Your pain didn't close you, it's made you a vessel. God holds the pain of the world and yours at once. His divine power transcends borders and touches souls, and in this quiet moment, He is touching yours. Not because you shout, but because you listen. What does it mean to carry the burdens of others in prayer, even when I feel burdened myself? How might God be expanding my heart through stillness and global compassion? What would it look like to live as both a receiver and a reflector of divine peace? God is near to the brokenhearted and those crushed in spirit. His mercy is over all He has made. I am called to intercede even from stillness. Light a candle. Say a prayer for someone you'll never meet. Then write "peace be upon them" in the comments as your act of mercy. Heaven hears what we whisper in silence and answers with a love strong enough to heal the world. Let your stillness become shelter for another. You've been conditioned to equate stillness with failure, to believe that if nothing is shifting on the outside, then something must be wrong on the inside. But what if this morning God is inviting you to see stillness as sacred? Meditation is not the enemy of progress, it is the atmosphere of alignment. Every time God moved powerfully in Scripture, there was a moment of pause, a hush, a breath held in heaven. And right now, that may be where you are. This is not punishment, it is preparation. Psalm 91 says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." It does not say run, it says dwell. Stillness isn't stagnation, it's formation. God is not overlooking you, He's realigning you. He's clearing away the noise of performance and tuning your heart to hear again. You are not behind, you are being held. You're not being left, you're being led. This pause isn't a detour, it's the sacred path itself. Meditation isn't just a practice for peace, it is the posture of expectation. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that the body must be taught how to rest so the soul can remember it is safe. That's what meditation does. It tells your nervous system, you don't have to strive to be seen. You are already loved. Morning prayer becomes not a ritual, but a recentering, a return to the truth that your worth is not earned through outcomes, but received through presence. Jesus Himself withdrew to quiet places, not to escape purpose, but to deepen it. And today, the same invitation is extended to you. You don't need thunder to prove God is close. Sometimes it's only a whisper. You are safe, you are seen, you are surrounded. That whisper is enough. This is not laziness, it is spiritual receptivity. God is doing more in your stillness than your striving ever could. Let go of the lie that you must earn God's movement by your own. Meditation is not passive, it is prophetic. It means you trust that God is still working, even when you are still. As T.D. Jakes said, stillness reveals what striving conceals. In this sacred quiet, you may hear the next step you've begged for, or you may simply hear, "Stay here, I'm with you." Either way, you are being restored. Psalm 23 reminds us, "He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul." Maybe this stillness is not the setup for a miracle. Maybe it is the miracle. Right here, right now, in the hush, in the pause, in the holy breath before movement. This isn't wasted time. This is sacred space where your soul is realigned with heaven. How can I begin to see meditation not as inactivity but as spiritual readiness? What parts of my soul are being healed in this sacred pause? How might I learn to trust God's timing without needing immediate clarity? I dwell in the shadow of the Almighty. Stillness is not failure, it is restoration. God leads me into peace, not pressure. Take a moment to pause. Place your hand over your heart. Whisper, "I am still. God is near." Then type "This pause is holy" in the comments to mark this moment. And if you know someone rushing through life and missing the sacred, share this with them. Their soul may need this pause too. Some mornings feel like catch-up, like you're waking up already behind. Behind on healing, behind on progress, behind on becoming the person you thought you'd be by now. But God's message this morning quiets all that pressure. You are not behind. You are being aligned. Alignment doesn't always feel like movement, but it is. It's not delay, it's design. Psalm 23 says, "He leads me in paths of righteousness," not pushes, not rushes, leads. That means you pace your life with care, not comparison. And sometimes He slows you down not to punish you, but to prepare you. What looks like a detour is often divine direction. The stillness you're standing in might be the exact space where your breakthrough is forming, not in your schedule, but in your soul. You are not off track. You are on holy ground, long enough to be made whole before being moved forward. Divine power doesn't always arrive in the form of open doors or fast answers. Sometimes it comes disguised as silence, as a no, as a wait. But Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that alignment feels uncomfortable because it rearranges the soul. God isn't just blessing your future, He's healing your foundation. He's aligning your thoughts with truth, your emotions with peace, your expectations with eternity. Lisa Bevere calls this holy rearrangement, where God lovingly disrupts what's misaligned so that your calling can rise unshaken. While you think nothing is happening, heaven is orchestrating a masterpiece under the surface. God is preparing you not just to arrive, but to endure, not just to receive, but to carry. In stillness, you are being sculpted by grace. The rhythm of your life is being rewritten, not by your hustle, but by His hand. And here's what matters most. If you rush ahead before alignment is complete, you risk dragging old fears, false beliefs, and worn-out timelines into a space God meant to set free. That's why He's inviting you to trust the stillness, trust the pause, trust that His pace is always purposeful. Psalm 91 reminds us that God is our refuge, not our stopwatch. He's not measuring how far you've moved, He's covering how deeply you're being transformed. You are not falling behind. You are falling into divine rhythm. Let that truth settle you. Let it anchor you. Because what comes next will require the peace He's building now. You don't need to strive to catch up. You need to breathe. You need to believe. God's timing is not cruel, it's careful. And you, beloved, are right on time. What false timelines have I believed about where I should be in life? How might God be aligning me spiritually before releasing movement physically? What would change if I believed this season was holy, not wasted? I am being led, not left behind. God's alignment is my preparation. In stillness, I am being made whole. Say it out loud. I'm aligned, not late. Then type it in the comments to declare your trust in God's timing. Share this with someone who feels behind. Remind them, God does not rush what He wants to last, and He is not late. He is precise. There is a kind of awakening that doesn't begin with bright lights or loud declarations. It begins in stillness, in the quiet breath between your tired inhale and hesitant exhale, in the sacred pause of morning prayer, when your soul exhales what it carried all night and your tears, hidden, held back, finally fall. Not because you're broken, but because you're safe. That is where awakening begins, not in performance, but in presence. Not when you figure everything out, but when you surrender what you can't fix. Psalm 91 invites us to dwell in the secret place of the Most High, not visit, not rush through, but dwell. It's in that lingering that God whispers things you've been too distracted to hear. Maybe the stuckness you felt isn't punishment. It's an invitation to slow down, to be still enough to truly hear. This isn't regression, it's revelation. It's God saying, I've slowed you down so you can finally wake up. Let the silence speak this morning. Let the stillness rise like a holy tide over your anxious thoughts. Transformation doesn't start with changed circumstances. It starts with changed perception. Lisa Bevere reminds us that stillness is the birthplace of new sight. Maybe the frustration you feel is a soul awakening, realizing you can't ignore what God is ready to heal. You can't numb what you used to tolerate. That's not failure. It's clarity. It's not weakness. it's spiritual maturity. And in that clarity, God is unearthing buried wounds, breaking old lies, and reminding you who you are. You are not falling apart. You are waking up. Stillness is not a timeout. It's a tuning fork. It's the space where awakening doesn't happen around you, but within you. And in that inner shift, your life begins to move not with urgency, but with purpose. Meditation in the morning isn't about silencing every thought. It's about centering your soul on the one who never leaves. It's about opening your clenched fists and saying, I trust you, not because you have answers, but because you know the answer. It's about laying down every label the world gave you and letting God speak your name again. That's when your awakening begins. Slowly, gently, one holy light at a time. Psalm 23 says, He restoreth my soul. That restoration doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the shadow, in stillness, in the sacred hush where your heart finally whispers, I'm ready to be whole. Don't rush it. Don't package it. Let it rise. Let it hold you. Let it heal. You're not striving into awakening. You're surrendering into it. And right now you are exactly where you need to be, on holy ground. How have I misunderstood stillness as absence instead of an invitation to deeper intimacy with God? What emotions or truths might be awakening in me now that I'm finally still enough to hear them? How can I honor this awakening without rushing it? Stillness is the soil where awakening begins. God restores my soul in the quiet. Dwelling with God revives my spirit. If your heart is beginning to stir again, comment, Awaken me, Lord, as a prayer. Then sit for 60 seconds in silence. No words. Just be. Let the awakening continue, not from striving, but from stillness. And if someone you love needs this sacred reminder, share it. Stillness is contagious. So is awakening. Let it begin. Waiting can feel like a wilderness, no answers, no movement, no doors swinging open, just silence, and the creeping fear that maybe you've been forgotten. But Psalm 91 wasn't written for those leaping from mountain to mountain. It was written for the ones learning how to dwell in the valleys. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. There is no rush in that verse, no command to strive, only presence, only stillness. Waiting is not a pause in God's story. It is part of the story. Divine power often unfolds not through thunder, but through the quiet formation of trust. And when everything in you wants to escape, to fix it, to force an outcome, God's whisper meets you, stay. Abide, I am your refuge. Even here, His covering is not just for moments of crisis. It's for seasons of waiting, when everything looks unchanged, yet something unseen is being restored within. Psalm 91 doesn't paint a picture of momentum. It offers a vision of mercy. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. That isn't a call to sprint forward. It's an invitation to lean in, to stay hidden, to be held. Because in the waiting, you are not forgotten. You are being formed. Pope Leo the Cantor once said, Those who wait under the shadow of the Almighty emerge as those who shine with peace the world cannot understand. And that's the miracle you may not yet see. While the world celebrates speed, God treasures depth. Your roots are growing before the rain comes. Your wings are being shaped before they stretch. This waiting isn't wasted, it's worship. This slowness isn't failure, it's sacred preparation. Psalm 91 doesn't teach us to strive, it teaches us to dwell. And it's in the dwelling that awakening begins. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that trauma can train us to equate movement with safety, as if being busy proves we're okay. But real safety in God feels like peace that doesn't require performance. It feels like trust that can be still. It feels like the courage to remain in the quiet while everything else says move. And in that stillness, something shifts. The voices of fear lose their grip. The shame that lingered starts to lift. The anxiety fades into silence, and then, like morning light breaking gently through the clouds, hope stirs, courage breathes, grace hums in your soul with these words: you're not behind, you're not stuck, you're sheltered, held, loved. And this waiting, it hasn't delayed your destiny, it's anchoring you deeper into it. You are not being bypassed, you are being prepared. What does it mean to truly dwell in the secret place of God rather than pass through it? How has God used waiting seasons to shape parts of me that movement never could? What would it look like to see waiting not as weakness, but as worship? I am covered under His wings. My waiting is not wasted, it's worship. I am sheltered, not stuck. If this waiting season has shifted your heart toward Him, comment, "I dwell with you, Lord." Let it be your quiet declaration of faith in the delay. Then share this with someone who's growing weary in their own waiting. Let them know Psalm 91 was not written for the fast, it was written for the faithful. And this waiting, it's not an interruption, it's holy. So are you. Some mornings, restoration feels like a distant promise. You wake up not with clarity, but with a weight you can't name. Your body is tired, your heart is numb. You whisper prayers, but they seem to echo without landing, and somewhere inside you wonder, why can't I shake this feeling? What's wrong with me? But friend, nothing is wrong with you. Restoration is not always loud. Psalm 23 simply says, "He restoreth my soul." It doesn't say how or when, it just says He does. Right now, in ways you can't see, in the silence you don't understand. Restoration isn't about feeling better instantly. It's about God slowly breathing life into places you thought were gone forever. Even in your weariness, even when joy feels like a memory, God is rebuilding you from the inside out. His work is quiet but powerful. And the fact that you're still here, still listening, still open, that's part of the miracle. That's part of the restoration. Awakening doesn't always strike like lightning. Sometimes it's a flicker, a whisper, a soft return of breath to places long forgotten. As T.D. Jakes teaches, God often heals what we've stopped hoping for. And right now, something sacred is stirring beneath your fatigue. A quiet courage, a gentle loosening of old fears, not because the pain is gone, but because it no longer has power. Psalm 91 reminds us that those who dwell in the shelter of the Most High are safe, not from trouble, but within it. Sometimes safety isn't escape. Sometimes it's endurance, the ability to rise, even if it's slow, to believe again, even when nothing looks different. This is what divine healing looks like, not erasing your pain, but redeeming your soul, restoring you into someone who knows peace isn't always loud, but it is always near. Lisa Bevere said, "You don't have to see the roots for the tree to be growing. That's your soul. Something is growing beneath the surface even if you feel still." Morning prayer is more than a ritual. It's resurrection, where dead dreams breathe again, where shame releases its hold, where the silence becomes sacred. Every breath, every verse, every surrender is a seed, and the gardener, your shepherd, is tending to you gently. He's saying today, "I'm not asking for proof of your strength. I'm already working with your weakness." That's the mercy of restoration. God doesn't wait for you to feel worthy. He begins with your surrender, and He doesn't stop. He restores because it's who He is. And even now, in your most fragile place, His healing has already begun. What if restoration has already started? Even if I can't yet see or feel it, how can I allow myself to rest in God's promise to restore, rather than pressure myself to perform? What does restoration look like for my soul, not just my circumstances? God is restoring my soul today. I am safe, even when I can't see the healing yet. God works in hidden places to bring visible change. If your soul is longing for unseen healing, type "Restore me, Lord" in the comments. Then close your eyes and simply whisper, "Thank you." That whisper is enough. That breath is faith. Share this with someone carrying silent exhaustion. Let them know the restoration has already begun. It just looks like stillness right now. And that's holy. There's a sacred truth the world avoids but heaven honors. Breakthrough often begins in brokenness, not the kind that disqualifies you, but the kind that finally strips away the illusion of self-sufficiency. The kind where your strength runs out, your strategies collapse, and all that's left is this holy whisper: God, I can't fix this. That's where the shift begins, not in your circumstances but in your soul, because the end of your striving is the start of God's most profound work. T.D. Jakes teaches that the cracks in your soul are not signs of failure, they're entry points for divine power. Where you break is where God begins to build. Psalm 91 doesn't offer a plan for escape, it offers refuge. That's because God doesn't need you to be put together. He just needs you to be present. He doesn't ask for perfection, he asks for surrender. Because in that surrender, the sacred work begins. And in that quiet, when everything feels undone, you are more held than you've ever been. This is the foundation of spiritual awakening, not performance, but honesty. Not masking your pain, but meeting God in the middle of it. Psalm 23 says, "He restores my soul." That word restore doesn't mean a cosmetic fix. It means a holy returning to who you were always meant to be. Restoration begins when the pressure to hold it all together finally breaks. And so if today you feel like you're falling apart, don't panic. You're being made ready. Divine power flows best through what's real, through the cracks, through the tears, through the surrender. Heaven isn't waiting for your perfection. It's moving right now through your permission. This is not about proving your strength. It's about revealing God's. You don't need to climb higher. You need to bow lower, not in defeat, but in trust. Because God doesn't lift the proud, He lifts the surrendered. What the enemy tried to break in you, God is now rebuilding into something sacred. Your silence is becoming space. Your confusion is becoming clarity. Your stillness is becoming soil for resurrection. This isn't just circumstantial breakthrough, it's spiritual rebirth. Morning prayer is where the exchange happens. Shame for grace, fear for peace, performance for presence. Where brokenness becomes bravery. Where God says, "I never needed your strength. I've always wanted your surrender." And that surrender, it's not weakness, it's worship. You are not behind. You are bowed low enough for Him to lift you without resistance. What if your brokenness isn't a detour? It's the doorway you've been praying for. What if your inability to control is the way God is calling you deeper? What if the part of you that feels most fragile is the part He wants to restore first? The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. He restores what is surrendered. Your brokenness is not the end, it's the beginning of breakthrough. If you're ready to lay it all down, type, "I give it to you, God," in the comments. Speak it with your heart. Surrender doesn't require strength. It simply requires honesty. Then share this with someone afraid of their own weakness. Let them know God doesn't wait for us to be whole to begin healing. He meets us in the breaking. Every single time. There is an ache that runs deeper than disappointment. The ache of waiting on God after you've prayed fervently, fasted with hope, and cried out until your strength gave way, and still, silence. That silence can whisper lies of abandonment. But Lisa Bevere speaks a truth that reframes the ache. God's delays are not rejections. They are divine recalibrations. You are not being forgotten. You are being formed. In the hush of delay, something sacred is growing, not just around you, but inside you. Your trust is stretching. Your discernment is sharpening. Your spiritual backbone is strengthening. Psalm 91 doesn't promise speed, it promises shelter. And in that shelter, God is not just hiding you, He is healing you. He is preparing you, not punishing you. The delay is not empty, it's holy, and while the world may call it wasted time, heaven calls it wound time, a sacred space where purpose is developed before it is delivered. Spiritual awakening doesn't always come with loud signs and instant breakthroughs. It often walks quietly through seasons where God's hand feels hidden, yet his heart is near. Psalm 23 says, "He leadeth me in paths of righteousness." But it doesn't say those paths will be smooth or straight. They might feel slow, shadowed, or silent. But righteousness is not about speed. It's about surrender. It is about a setback of perspective. It is about a moment of solace. Lisa Bevere reminds us that delay is often the tension that strengthens the soul to carry what we've prayed for. If God answered too soon, we might not be ready. If he moved too quickly, we might lose what he meant to last. So he delays, not to discourage us, but to deepen us. He's not just building outcomes, he's building endurance. And in that waiting, you are not withering, you are being woven into something stronger than you imagined. You may feel like nothing is changing, but heaven sees every moment of your waiting as sacred. Meditation teaches your soul to slow down and sync with God's rhythm, not the world's pace. Morning prayer becomes less about pleading and more about trusting. It reshapes your posture from frustration to faith, from hurry to holiness. You begin to realize that what God is doing in you matters just as much as what you're asking him to do around you. Lisa once said, "Don't run from the delay. It's there to prepare you." And that preparation is not a pause in your destiny. It is the very place your destiny takes root. Psalm 91 says he covers you with his feathers, and under his wings you find refuge. That refuge is your resting place. That delay is your protection, and when the answer arrives, it won't need to be chased. It will fit your spirit because you've been fitted for it. How have I misunderstood God's delay as abandonment instead of preparation? What character, strength, or trust is being developed in this waiting season? Can I begin to welcome the delay as part of the blessing instead of an obstacle to it? God's timing is perfect, even when I don't understand it. I am being prepared while I wait. His delay is my protection and positioning. If your heart is choosing trust over urgency, type, "I trust your timing, Lord," in the comments. Let that be your prayer of surrender today. Then pause. Breathe. Let your waiting become your worship. And if someone you love feels discouraged in the silence, share this with them. Remind them, God is never late. He is precise. And this delay, it's holy ground. Peace is not the reward waiting at the end of your struggle. It is the presence God offers you right in the middle of it. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that healing is not a single dramatic moment. It is a process, a sacred unfolding, a quiet, patient restoration that begins before anything around you changes. You've been longing for breakthrough, begging for closure, pleading for the pain to pass. But what if the greater miracle is this? Your soul learning to be still, even when the storm doesn't stop. That stillness is not avoidance, it's trust. Psalm 23 doesn't say God waits for the perfect conditions to restore your soul. It says, He restoreth my soul, present tense, right now, even here, even when it still hurts. Restoration doesn't wait for clarity. It begins in chaos. It begins with trust in a God who moves gently through broken places. We often confuse peace with resolution, as if we can only rest when the situation is fixed, the prayer is answered, or the pain is gone. But Dr. Anita teaches us that peace is not a destination, it is a person. Peace is the presence of God walking with you through the uncertainty, not waiting for you on the other side. Psalm 91 gives us this image. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. That is not the picture of a finished story, it's the picture of protection mid-process. Meditation doesn't silence your emotions. It welcomes them into God's presence. It gives you space to say, "Here I am, Lord. I don't know how this ends, but I trust that you are here. And in that sacred admission, something shifts, not outside, but within. Peace doesn't come because the chaos leaves. Peace comes because your spirit stops trying to outrun it and starts resting in the one who holds. This is what awakening looks like. Not perfection, but presence. Not the absence of trouble, but the awareness of God in it. Divine power isn't always about parting seas. It's about settling hearts. Stillness is not a sign of stagnation. It's evidence of security. Dr. Anita often says that emotional healing doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop fearing what you feel. And that's where peace is born, not when everything is okay, but when you finally believe you're still okay, even in the unknown. You don't need to escape the process to experience God. You need to meet Him in it. You are not waiting for healing to begin. You are walking in it now. The process is not punishment, it's preparation. And you are not behind. You are right on time for what God is doing in you. So exhale. Be still. Peace is not something you chase. Peace is already here. What if peace isn't waiting at the end of the process, but waiting to be received right now? How can I practice trusting God in each step, instead of only when the outcome appears? What emotions have I been avoiding that God is inviting me to bring into His presence? Peace is with me now, not just later. John 14:27. God is restoring me even in uncertainty. Psalm 23:3. I am covered and kept in the process. Psalm 91 verse 4. If your soul is beginning to rest today, type peace is here in the comments. Let that be your declaration of trust. Then take one deep breath. Let the weight lift. And if someone you love is striving to fix it all before they can rest, share this with them. Remind them, peace is not found in a solution. Peace is a savior, and He is already near. In a world addicted to results, Pope Leo XIV spoke a sacred truth. Waiting is not a punishment. It is a sacred offering of the soul. It's not a blank space between miracles. It is where the miracle begins. True waiting says, I trust you enough to remain, even without the answer. That kind of trust is not weakness, it is worship. Every moment you've spent praying, yearning, wondering if heaven hears you, that time has not been lost. It has been planted, and right now, in this quiet moment of morning prayer, you're not just enduring time, you're offering it. Psalm 23 says, He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. That's not a verse about pace, it's about posture. God's rhythm is gentle enough to grow you and sure enough to guide you. In His timing, slow is never stagnant. It's sacred. And every moment you choose to stay instead of striving is a seed of glory in the soil of trust. The soul that learns to wait with open hands becomes a sanctuary for something deeper than answers. It becomes a vessel for God's presence. Spiritual awakening doesn't rush, it ripens. Pope Leo the Canonist said that when you surrender urgency, your soul expands, and that expansion is happening now. Meditation teaches your spirit to stop chasing and start receiving. You stop asking, how long, and start asking, how much more of you can I discover in this delay? This is where formation begins, where your internal world becomes more important than external outcomes. Heaven sees this transformation, not the visible kind the world celebrates, but the invisible kind that eternity crowns. And while nothing may seem to move on the outside, something sacred is shifting within. You're not falling behind. You're being built for what can't be shaken. Psalm 91 invites you to dwell, not sprint, not struggle, just dwell. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. That word dwell is not passive. It is profoundly intentional. It means to remain, to linger, to surrender every need to prove or perform. It means you're safe enough to stop searching and still enough to start receiving. Pope Leo XIV taught that holy waiting stretches the soul. And the stretching you feel, it's not emptiness, it's expansion. You are becoming a vessel strong enough to carry the wisdom, peace, and purpose God is preparing. This waiting is not wasted, it's worship. And as you offer it, heaven is responding, not with noise, but with presence, not with haste, but with holiness. You didn't miss your moment, you're marinating in it. You're not left behind, you're being led deeper. And what God is doing in the waiting is no less holy than what He will do in the breakthrough. This has been a pre-tricked program. Experience, while not necessarily direct. How would my experience of waiting change if I saw it as worship instead of delay? What might God be doing in me while I offer this waiting as a gift to Him? Can I shift from frustration to reverence during my delays? My waiting is a sacred offering to God. He grows me slowly and faithfully. I abide in the shelter of His timing. If you're surrendering your timeline today, type "I offer this wait to you" in the comments. Let that be your act of trust. Then take one breath, long and deep. Whisper thanks, not for what has changed, but for how God is changing you. And if someone you love feels weary in their delay, send this to them. Tell them, waiting is not wasted. It is the place where eternity starts to speak. Some mornings feel like you're standing before a door that just won't open, knocking with hope, waiting with faith, and slowly wondering if the silence means you've been forgotten. But the truth is this: a closed door is not rejection, it is redirection. Divine love doesn't shut doors to punish you, it closes them to protect you. Psalm 23 says, "He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake." That path may not always look straight or easy. Sometimes it reroutes, sometimes it waits, but every delay is part of the design. Trusting God when nothing opens isn't weakness, it's formation. It's surrender to a pace that shapes you while you wait, and a shepherd who knows exactly what you're being prepared for, even if you don't yet see it. God's word for you today is clear. If I haven't opened the door, it's not because you're forgotten. It's because the room isn't ready, or because your soul is still in preparation. Lisa B. Veer once said that the unopened door might be saving you from something you can't yet carry, or from stepping into something that would pull you away from who you're becoming. Divine timing is not random, it's refined. Like a seed growing beneath the surface, breakthrough takes root in hidden places before it ever breaks into the visible. This is why morning prayer matters. This is why we sit in meditation, not just to request open doors, but to trust the one who holds every key. Revelation 3:7 says, "What He opens, no one can shut, and what He shuts, no one can open." Trust is choosing to believe that truth even when the hallway feels long and silent. To wait in front of a closed door is not to stand still, it's to stand ready. Psalm 91 says, "He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust." That covering may feel like pause, but it is purpose. It may feel like silence, but it is shelter. God is not absent in the delay, He is active in it. Pope Leo once wrote, "Divine timing is not about when you arrive, it's about who you are when you do." So instead of asking, "Why isn't the door opening?" ask, "What is being opened in me while I wait?" Your stillness is not wasted. It is a sacred space where God strengthens your spirit, redefines your focus, and whispers, "You are not behind. You are being made ready." And when the right door opens, you won't just walk through it, you'll carry everything it requires. What closed doors have I been fighting against that God may be using to guide me differently? How can I learn to see divine delays as protection, not punishment? In what ways is God asking me to deepen trust while I wait for His timing? God's timing is perfect for my life. I trust the one who holds every key. I am led, not left, even when doors don't open. If you're facing a closed door today, type "I trust your timing, God" in the comments. Then place your hand over your heart, close your eyes, and whisper, "You know what I can't see." Share this with someone who feels forgotten. Let them know this is not the end of the story. It's just the hallway, and the shepherd still leads. even when the door stays closed. Delay is heavy, not because nothing's happening, but because something sacred is. It stretches across hours of prayer, days of silence, seasons of uncertainty, and yet, behind the stillness is not abandonment, it's formation. You're not being ignored, you're being prepared. Psalm 91 says you dwell under the shadow of the Almighty, and shadows don't fall far from the source of light. They prove He's close. Delay is not distance, it's depth. It's heaven's invitation to enter the secret place where answers wait quietly behind the refining of your spirit. This is not wasted time. It is holy ground. The ache you carry is being woven into a strength you'll one day stand on. Divine power is never in a hurry. It moves like a sculptor, chiseling with precision, removing what cannot remain. Lisa Bevere reminds us that what feels like delay is often an invitation to draw nearer, to stop rushing for outcomes and start resting in presence. Awakening doesn't crash into your life like lightning. It arrives like a slow sunrise. Psalm 23 whispers, "He restoreth my soul." Restoration is slow, sacred, unfolding through stillness, not spectacle. So, if you're delayed, maybe it's because you're being deepened, not denied. Silence is not the absence of God. It is often where He speaks most clearly, beneath your striving, into your surrender. D.D. Jakes once said, "The promises of God carry weight, and before God gives them, He prepares your shoulders to carry them." This is why delay exists, not to crush you, but to craft you. What you've been asking for may be heavier than you know. And so God strengthens your roots before He lifts the curtain. He quiets your fear before He reveals the next step. You may not see movement, but you're not standing still. You are being sculpted into someone who can receive without crumbling, who can carry glory without losing peace. This isn't punishment, it's preservation. The delay isn't because God is distant, it's because He is near, and His work in you is precise. So today, breathe differently. Don't rush the wait, reverence it. Let delay become your sanctuary. Lay down your timelines and pick up trust. God's message is clear. You are not behind, you are becoming. And the weight you feel is me shaping you to carry my glory. Let those words soak into your waiting places. Let them anchor you when fear rises, because this delay is not your end, it's your unfolding. Lay it down. Your soul is being expanded, your spirit fortified, your heart made whole. You are not lost in the silence, you are being written into something eternal. In what ways might God be using this delay to form strength in me? How can I begin to welcome delay as divine construction rather than divine silence? What does it mean for me to carry peace even when nothing externally changes? Delay is not denial, it is divine formation. God is near in every waiting season. I am being strengthened to carry glory. If you're learning to wait with trust, type "delay is my classroom" in the comments. Then take a slow breath. Thank God, not just for what's coming, but for what He's creating in the quiet. Share this with someone weary in waiting. Remind them, the silence is sacred. The wait has purpose, and the wait is never wasted. There is a stillness in the valley that feels like delay, like silence, like you've been forgotten beneath the weight of shadows. But Psalm 23 offers a different kind of stillness, a sacred one. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. The valley isn't empty, it's filled with presence. Not because the valley isn't real, but because the shepherd is more real. He walks beside you, not ahead of you. The valley slows you, strips away what you once leaned on, and lowers the noise until you can finally hear the one who never left. This isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's where spiritual awakening deepens, not through mountaintop highs, but through holy quiet. In the valley, you don't need to climb, you need to be held. You don't need to rush. You need to remember that God's greatest work often happens in the slowest seasons. You are not lost. You are being led. Maybe this is where you are right now, your still valley season. A place where everything feels paused, where prayers go unanswered, where the road seems hidden. But what if this is the exact ground where God meant to meet you? He didn't send you to this place alone. He's walking with you. The shepherd never forces. He guides. He matches your pace. And in the matching, you begin to see that slow does not mean stuck. It means seen. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that emotional valleys often bring clarity, because when the world quiets down, the soul finally speaks up. Meditation becomes less about escape and more about encounter. You begin to realize the valley is not a detour. It's a destination for deep transformation. You stop fighting to leave and begin learning to follow, to let the shepherd be enough to trust that this path, though shadowed, is sacred. Psalm 91 says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." Not always in light, but in shadow. And that shadow is not a sign of absence. It's a shelter. It's the place where your soul exhales, where you breathe again, where you discover that the silence is not empty. It's full of God. Stillness becomes the classroom. The shepherd's rod and staff aren't for punishment, they're for protection. Tools of gentle guidance. Signals that you're never alone. Pope Leo the Canarus once wrote that true transformation doesn't happen on the mountaintop, it's forged in the hush of the valley. So pause. Receive this stillness as sacred space. Not because it's painless, but because it's purposeful. You are not being delayed, you are being deepened. You don't have to force the next step, you just have to follow. How have I experienced the still valley in this season, and what has God revealed there? What fears am I releasing as I realize He is walking with me step by step? How can I shift my mindset from get me out to lead me through? I walk through the valley without fear, Psalm 23:4. God is with me even in shadows, Psalm 91:1. Stillness is the space where God leads and comforts me, Isaiah 30:15. If you're in a still valley today, type "Lead me, Shepherd" in the comments, then close your eyes. Be still for 1 full minute. Let your breath slow. Let your soul remember. This path is not a punishment. It's proof that you are worth guiding, and someone you love may be in a valley too. Share this with them. Let your trust remind them, He walks slowly, but never without us. When anxiety presses on your chest in the quiet hours before dawn, and sleep feels like a distant memory, peace may seem unreachable. But peace is not found in changed circumstances. It's found in a faithful presence. Jesus meets you right here, not once you're calm, but in the chaos itself. Psalm 91 says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." That secret place isn't a far-off sanctuary. It's this very breath, this surrendered whisper of, "Lord, I need you." Christian meditation isn't about escaping what hurts. It's about inviting God into what's hurting. You don't have to perform to find rest. You simply dwell. You stay open. You stay honest. Because divine peace doesn't wait for the storm to end. It enters the storm with you. Right now, you are not abandoned. You are being cradled in the shadow of the Almighty, where anxiety begins to lose its grip, not by force, but by presence. Sleeplessness often reveals what our souls haven't been able to release. The body is tired, but the mind races, trying to solve, fix, control. But Christian meditation is not striving for stillness, it's surrendering into it. Jakes once said, "Anxiety can't survive where the voice of God grows louder." That's what meditation is, turning down fear and turning up faith. You're not pushing your worries aside, you're placing them in the hands that never drop what they hold. You're not asking for answers, you're receiving assurance. You don't need to feel peace to begin practicing it. You begin by saying, "God, I can't carry this anymore." And He replies, "You were never meant to." That exchange, fear for faith, tension for trust, is the sacred rhythm that lulls your soul into rest. You are not disqualified from God's calm. You are precisely where He wants to meet you. Psalm 23 declares, "He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul." That "maketh" is not a command, it's an invitation, a gentle hand pulling you from the spinning world into sacred stillness. You haven't failed because you feel anxious. You haven't missed God because you're wide awake. Rest isn't only for the calm, it's for the restless. And right now, your anxiety is not an obstacle to God, it's an opening. He enters the ache, sits beside your heartbeat, and speaks peace over what's trembling. His presence doesn't demand composure, it invites surrender. You don't have to fix the storm to feel safe. You just have to trust the one who speaks to it. And He is speaking now, through stillness, through scripture, through silence. This is where rest begins. What anxious thoughts or fears am I being invited to release into God's hands today? How can I reframe my sleeplessness as a moment to encounter divine stillness? What would it look like to practice Christian meditation, not just to escape anxiety, but to embrace God? I dwell in the shelter of the Most High. Psalm 91:1. God gives rest to the weary, even in the dark. Psalm 127:2. Stillness is where my soul is restored. Psalm 23:2-3. If anxiety has kept you restless, write "God, quiet my soul" in the comments. Then close your eyes. Inhale slowly. Exhale softly. Whisper His name with each breath. Do this 5 times. And if someone you love has forgotten what peace feels like, share this with them. Let them know God does not wait for the chaos to end, He enters it. And in Him you can rest again. There comes a holy moment in every believer's journey, a sacred shift when stillness becomes stirring. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, but it moves. A breath catches differently. A verse suddenly feels alive. A flicker of hope enters the places where despair had settled. You may not feel free yet, but something inside you has started to stretch. That's not random. That's the Spirit. Psalm 91 reminds us, "Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of fear, delay, weariness, spiritual fatigue." This is not the absence of God. It is the evidence of His presence, gently shifting you from spiritual paralysis into holy momentum. You are not as stuck as you think. Something is moving beneath the surface. It's not your plan, it's His presence, and it's preparing you for what's next. That stirring isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it begins with restlessness, a quiet ache that what once fit no longer feels right. You're not rebelling, you're receiving revelation. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that the soul stirs before the body follows. That's where you are now. You may still be in the same place, physically, but your spirit is already turning. You're sensing what your eyes can't see yet. A whisper rises inside you. This is not your end. It's your beginning. That whisper is God. He is shifting the atmosphere of your soul. He's not asking you to sprint. He's asking you to surrender. Don't ignore this tension. Don't rush past it. Sit in it. Listen. Because the space between stillness and movement is sacred. It is where identity is clarified, where direction is planted, where the next chapter begins. Morning prayer becomes awakening in this holy pause. Meditation becomes a gateway not to escape, but to engage. Psalm 23 says, "He leadeth me in paths of righteousness." Not the path of perfection, but the path of alignment. And the stirring you feel now, it's alignment beginning. You may feel the Spirit pointing gently to fears you must lay down, beliefs you must release, identities that no longer serve the soul God is forming. This is not about forcing growth, it's about yielding to it. The seeds God planted in seasons of silence are starting to push toward the light. You don't need to understand the outcome. You just need to say yes. That yes, spoken deep in your spirit, is the gate through which everything changes. What stirrings have I noticed in my heart that might be God's invitation into something new? How can I honor this in-between space as holy, even if I don't yet have full clarity? What needs to be released in order for me to receive what God is stirring? God is stirring my spirit for something new. Isaiah 43:19. I walk in paths of righteousness, not by sight, but by faith. Psalm 23:3. Even when I don't see it yet, God is moving within me. Philippians chapter 2, verse 13. If you feel a stirring inside, even if you don't know what it means, comment, "I'm listening, Lord." Then take 5 quiet minutes and journal what your heart is sensing. Share this with someone who feels stuck but has begun to hope again. Let them know this stirring is not noise, it's the Spirit, and your breakthrough has already begun. There comes a moment in every believer's journey when spiritual maturity isn't measured by how much you do, but by how much you release. It's found not in perfect planning, but in a whispered prayer. God, I don't know what to do. Lead me. That's where faith deepens, not in the absence of uncertainty, but in the presence of surrender. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." That's not just comfort, it's direction. It's a divine rhythm that grounds your mornings. Release, trust, receive. You're not meant to carry it all. You're meant to trust the one who already knows the way. Control wears the soul down. It turns every decision into a burden and every delay into a crisis. But God's voice is clear today. You're not behind. You're being led. Psalm 23 speaks it plainly. He leadeth me. He doesn't push you with pressure. He walks ahead with peace. You don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to perform your way to clarity. In the quiet space of daily prayer, your grip loosens and your heart opens. Not to answers, but to alignment. You begin to say, "God, I trust you more than I trust my fears." And that trust, spoken in stillness, is where anxiety gives way to peace. Dr. Anita Phillips says, "Healing begins when we stop using control as self-protection." You don't have to control what you've already surrendered. Let the shepherd lead. Christian meditation shifts you out of the noise and into the knowing. You're not trying to escape the unknown. You're learning to dwell in it with confidence. Psalm 91 reminds us, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." That's where wisdom grows, not in rushing ahead, but in returning again and again to God's presence. When your instinct says, "Fix it," the Spirit says, "Follow me." When your heart wants guarantees, God offers guidance. Prayer becomes more than asking, it becomes abiding. You don't need the next 5 steps, you just need the next moment of peace. And peace always comes where God is trusted more than outcomes. What area of my life am I trying to control instead of surrendering? How can daily prayer become a rhythm of release, not just request? What would change if I truly trusted God to guide my next steps? I trust in the Lord and lean not on my own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. He is guiding my path each day. Psalm 23:3. I dwell in the shelter of his wisdom. Psalm 91:1. If you're ready to let go and let God lead, type "I surrender control" in the comments. Then close your eyes, breathe deeply, and whisper, "Guide me, Lord." Share this with someone feeling overwhelmed. Let them know you were never called to carry the weight of direction, only to walk in trust. After the stillness, after the surrender, after the waiting and wondering, there will come a door, a moment when God says now, not loud or dramatic, but clear. And when that moment comes, it won't feel like chaos. It will feel like confirmation, a conversation, a shift in your spirit, a breath of clarity. Psalm 23 reminds us, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." That is not a vague hope, it's a divine promise. Wherever the door leads, His goodness walks with you. Whatever lies ahead, His mercy is already waiting there. This is not random, it's redemption. And if your soul has been shaped in stillness, then this movement will not shake you. It will steady you. You're not stepping into the unknown. You're stepping into fulfillment that was forged in silence. Every morning prayer, every hidden tear, every act of quiet trust has prepared you for this very thing. Don't mistake hesitation for discernment. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that anxiety can show up when peace feels unfamiliar. If it feels strange to step forward in trust, it's only because you've grown so used to holding your breath. Now it's time to exhale. This is the moment where you stop waiting to feel ready and start walking in the readiness that was already placed in you. This is not about rushing ahead, it's about responding to the gentle voice that says, "This is your time." Psalm 91 declares, "He shall give His angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways." That includes this door, this path, this moment. You are not walking forward alone. The same God who carried you through the valley is now walking you into something new, not to lose what you've gained, but to carry it forward. This next step doesn't cancel the stillness, it confirms it. You are not leaving the peace behind, you are bringing it with you. Movement without presence becomes striving, but movement with presence becomes sacred ground. Let the shepherd set your pace. Let every step be worship. Let every decision echo trust. The door is open, and you have been made ready. What open door is God inviting me to walk through in trust? How can I stay grounded in the peace of stillness, even while stepping into motion? Am I willing to walk forward without needing full clarity, just full trust? Goodness and mercy are going before me. Psalm 23:6. God's angels go with me through every new step. Psalm 91:11. I am equipped to move because I've been formed in stillness. Isaiah 30:21. If you feel the door opening before you, type "I'm ready to walk" in the comments. Then take one brave step. Make the call. Write the plan. Speak the yes. Share this with someone who's afraid to move forward. Let them know you're not leaving peace behind. You're walking with it. The door is open. Walk through it, fully loved and divinely led.